Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. Hold on to your Wi-Fi phones because we're about to embark on a wild journey from the picturesque land of sheep in Newport, Wales to the kingdom of £10 tea in Suffolk, England. How is this done, you ask? Well, brace yourselves for the slowest rollercoaster ride ever in the magical realm of the podcast Seasoned Humour. This podcast is the fibertainment you never knew you needed. We welcome you to sit and listen for the next 40 minutes about the stories we have to tell that matter about absolutely nothing. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. You see what I did there? Fibertainment, because we're on the internet, look.
How did you get that? You can't write something like that good.
Mate, I'm an introduction genius.
That's quality. I did not expect that. When you said to me, I've got something cool for the intro of this podcast, I did not expect that.
I think that might be my thing. The intro.
The intro.
That's the whole reason why I'm here.
That's why I invited you here, actually. That's the only reason I invited you to do the podcast with me, because I knew you was an intro wizard. Just
to tee you up, really. Well, I do feel like I shouldn't have taken that big gulp of beer just before I reeled it off, though.
I thought you was gonna. I was watching you, and I was thinking, is he going to burp in the middle of this? You managed to style that out well, mate. Very well.
Yeah, I'll save that to the end.
That's good. Well, welcome to the podcast, everybody. Episode 2. I'm Peter Main, the person who doesn't like to introduce his name. He introduced himself as his name.
The operation.
I got all nervous. I got all nervous then.
Well, the first one, I think went relatively smooth considering it was the first one and we didn't have a clue what we were doing.
No, I agree, mate. It's a fun thing to do. I quite enjoyed it. It went really well, I thought, last time, and we've had a fairly good bit of feedback back from our friends and family, because they're the only people who listen to it so far.
I feel I'm way underdressed though, because you seem to be turning up to these in a much more, well, as if you go into the pub, and I'm turning out as if I'm going to wash the car, sort of thing.
Well, let's be clear. I'm sitting here in a 3-piece suit and a tie, and Lewis is sitting in his pajamas.
And a string vest.
I'm really not. I'm sitting in a t-shirt and shorts, and just like Lewis said, he's playing it down a little bit, and he looks quite smart in his white room. He blends into the background. All I can see is his head.
Oh, I haven't put my phone on silent. I don't know if that's a bad thing. His notifications are going off. I don't know if that's going to.
No, I can't hear it. I can't hear it, so I'm sure the viewers can't. So. I want to just say that actually something on that on background noise. If anybody hears a motorbike or a quad bike go up and down the road, that's the local hooligan terrorists riding up and down the road. It's not actually me sitting on a farm or anything like that. It's actually just the little hooligans riding up and down the road, and they've been doing it for the past week since the squad is. So do apologise. I
do have a giraffe coming through my window, and there's a couple of pit ponies in the kitchen.
So how's your week
been,
you
shouldn't
mate?
Hear them. They're all chained up, so you shouldn't hear them.
How's your week been?
My week? It's been a long week, really, because I got a bit of time off next week, and this week's been like a little bit chaotic. But yeah, it's been okay. The weather's been really weird here, though. I don't know what it's been like with you, but it's literally been like a tropical storm.
Yes, we've had the same. It's been a bit frustrating, and what with the train drivers are striking and stuff like that, it's been a bit of a pain in the arse. Well, excuse my language, but it's been a bit of a pain in the arse this week, and a bit frustrating. So I can't. I'm not even going to start on the train drivers at the minute, because it's really something that grinds my gears.
Was that a one-liner?
I was going to say something else, but I don't want to offend anybody. It's been an annoying week. I went into work one day. It took me 3 hours. That's what I'm going to say.
It's episode 2, so we can't cause carnage. We can't upset anybody yet.
No, we can't. I think we touched it in episode 1 a little bit. I think we should discuss how we met. Just a quick. We didn't really touch on it in episode 1. I think we should. But in this episode, I think we should have a little bit.
And it wasn't in there.
It was the other one.
No,
but no. I think we should sort of touch on how we met, because there's obviously a few people said that we gel really well, and it's like we've had a friendship for quite a lot longer than what we probably have. We've known each other now 3 years, just over 3 years, I suppose. Is it the magical time of COVID?
Yeah, since lockdown, really.
So it's a magical time of COVID, and I think as the intro on our, or if you read the bit of on the podcast, it's a little bit about how we met there, and basically we're both a couple of geeks and we like to play computer games, and I was streaming on Facebook gaming, and Lou appeared in a stream and liked the geeky sound effects I was playing, and we sort of started having a little chat and that, and then we started chatting offline. And the next thing we know, we're dating.
I think I said something in your stream, and I can't remember what it was. It was only like something for Jess, and you went all Millwall on me as well. I can't remember honestly. Like the whole lockdown thing. I remember being in work, it all kicking off, and the next thing I can remember, I'm at home.
Mate,
and then I was at home. I was kind of like, oh, what do we do now? And literally, it was just flip flops, barbecues, and sunshine. Because we had the best weather ever. And then I was thinking, what do I do? And then I remember I had an Xbox, and I was kind of like, played a bit of Call of Duty, and then made a few friends on that.
You talk about the best weather ever, and we similar to you, we got sent home from work, and I remember it, and we was actually begging to be sent home from work, being on a construction site, and they don't really shut down in any. Even in a world war, they probably would have shut down a construction site. It's like, no, we've got to get this building. We've got to get this building built. And keep going, guys. You can't stop. We've got to meet this program. Time, cost, implications, all that. And I remember our boss coming in and saying, right, all you lot have got to go home, but you got to work from home. And everyone was like, oh God. And then you said, like you said, then it was all in the garden, lovely weather. Beers, barbecues, etc., etc.
No one takes working from home seriously, though, do they? I can't.
That's where I was going to go. Do you know that child or that sits in the window that's grounded and all their mates are playing out the front? I was like sitting in the window with my like droopy eyes, going, oh, I want to be outside, and my family's out there running around going, this is amazing. Like they were jumping in and out of the pool, and I'm stuck upstairs in the spare room working, and I'm thinking, what is going on? This is not right. This is so unfair.
I think I watched something on YouTube the other day though, and it's kind of like there was this guy in America, and he was kind of saying like, how can you have the same folk? I get sometimes like you have people like yourself who work somewhere far away, and there's certain days when you do bits from home, but you have to have that bit when you go into work, because you can't get in that frame of mind otherwise. It's like playing football. If you play football, you got to be there to give 100%, can you? You couldn't work from home being a footballer, could you?
Do you imagine?
You'd have someone there going in the box, and they'd be like, I'll do it tomorrow, I'm working from home today.
But yeah, you're right, and you can't have that same sort of focus.
How about a fireman? How would a fireman work? Oh, this house is burning down. Mate, I'm working from home today.
Working from home. Sitting on the internet, just watching YouTube or something like that. Yeah, it doesn't work.
What other jobs could you not work from home?
What other jobs?
Police. Someone's breaking into my house. We're in the office today, mate. Working from home. They're holding a gun to my head. Take some notes and we'll come back to you.
Yeah, ambulance worker at that ambulance service. Be a bit difficult, wouldn't it?
999. I'm having a clutcher. Okay, we're working from home today, but stay strong. We'll be there tomorrow.
just don't die. We'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah,
there's plenty of jobs. You're right, and you can't. You've got to have a focus. I do struggle sometimes. I'm not going to lie. There is so many temptations just to sit there and watch TV. Play on the computer or go and do some work in the garden or work in your house, decorate. Your focus is not the same.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? Like think about how much was on TV. Like everyone did a Netflix marathon, didn't they? Like even my mum and dad, and they're in their 70s, and they've like seen every program on Netflix, every program on Amazon, it's crazy. And you go like Amazon shopping, everyone shopped online, didn't they? I think everyone got furlough money, and we're like, we're not really going out, so we got like a bit of spare money, and they were just buying like like us. We were like,
Amazon boomed. Amazon.
yeah, it did. Oh, do you see the share price went through the roof, didn't it?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Because we were home buying new Xbox controllers.
You couldn't buy anything for love nor money that was electronic, like anything that you wanted to buy. A webcam. Webcams just you couldn't get one anywhere, and then they went up double in price. 50.
You're the same as me though, because you were like constructing this like man den in your sort of boys' room, and we like buying stuff and adding stuff all the time. And I was like, "What's coming now? What have you ordered now?"
Yeah, that's what it was like, wasn't it? But
and then neon lights coming from the bottom of the door. Nothing, love. I had this last week. It's been here forever. You just haven't seen it before.
Yeah, it's been. I've had it all the time.
What have you ordered now? Oh no, they broke, so they sent me another one.
But yeah, that's how we met. We met via lockdown, and we've just had we've had the group chat going for 3 years now, probably 3 years, well over 3 years. And you scroll back through that group chat, and there is some absolute rubbish that we talk about in that group chat with our a couple of other guys that we know as well. That also we met via lockdown. So there was a few wonders that come out of lockdown.
Yeah, the other guys were great. Our friends from Ireland, Jer and Steve.
And we do, and we all talk regularly still. When it's, I say, me and Lou have got this like passion to do certain things and be 40-year-old YouTubers sometimes. I think that's our goal in life.
Drinking beer, watching football, and going on YouTube.
and not getting no one watch it or anything like that. But yeah, it's all right. It's all good.
We did all that one time. Remember, we were like streaming a game, and there was no one watching, or there was like one person watching, and we were like, "Welcome to the stream. I'd just like to give a shout out to the one person watching."
It's mad. It is mad. It's funny. Lou, I want to tell you about something anyway that happened in my week. I had this really awkward encounter on the train with a guy, and I don't know if it wasn't just me, but he was one of these guys that, do you know when you meet someone in the street, or they look at you weird, or they randomly shout at people
all the time.
That's you, in it.
That's me. Me.
You're the person.
Wait.
No, but as I said, the trains have been right up the wall the past few weeks because of all these strikes. They kicked us off at Cambridge, which is about another 20 minutes on from my house, and unfortunately the next train was 45 minutes away. So I thought, do you know what, I'll walk down to the shop, go and get myself a drink, then I'll just wait for the train and so on. Anyway, walking down to the shop, and there's a guy kneeling down doing his laces up, and I thought I'd better walk round him. Obviously, I'm not going to walk over him or through him, but he was right in the middle of the platform, and he went to me, "You want some?" As I walked past him, and I was like, "Is he talking to me?" As I turned my head.
It was the raider, was it?
He was.
The Wildest raider.
And I thought, was he talking to me? And I had my AirPods on, so I didn't really pay much attention. Anyway,
before you say anything, did you have any Millwall attire on?
I didn't know. I didn't have nothing on. And so I walked back to where I was standing on the platform. The train comes in, and I walk up the platform, and the train's packed. Anyway, I get on the train, goes to stand in an aisle somewhere, and this guy appears again, and he walks past, and you know, when you are standing there and this guy and someone looks at you and you think, this ain't right, and he walked past in that sort of, and gave me that look as if to say, I'm going to do you, like, and I thought, that's not good. Anyway, I put my head down and started looking at my phone, pretending I was busy doing something. He walks up to this other area, and there's a couple of people standing there, and there's a woman with a pram, there's a couple of lads, and so forth. All of a sudden, I thought I'll put my AirPods on to sort of the take the noise cancelling off of them so I can hear what's being said. And he starts going to this other bloke. He starts going to him, "Let me tell you what I do for a living." And I thought, well, here we go. And he's got a tracksuit on, bearing in mind this guy.
Please tell me he does something like works in Toys R Us or something.
It's better than that. He turns around and goes, "Let me tell you what I do for a living." And the guy goes, "Oh yeah," like he's a young lad. He's probably mid-20s. This guy, and he's talking to another guy about his mid-20s, and he goes to him, "I knock people out for a living." And I thought, "Oh my days!" Like,
Oh, no.
and this kid, honestly, I looked at this boy to my right, and who was talking to him, and he laughed, and he went, "Shut your mouth, mate!" Like, and I thought, "Oh no, it's all going to kick off on the train." He goes, "Shut your mouth," and he goes, "What?" And he goes, "You heard? Shut your mouth." The bloke goes, "No, I'm serious. I knock people out for a living, so you want to be careful." And he was adamant, right? This bloke. He's just, and you could see the crowd of people around him slowly starting to move away. You're thinking, "Oh God," the train was packed, and I'm thinking, "Oh my life, what's he gonna do?" Anyway, it gets into Ely, my station. I jump off the train. A load of other jump off the train. This bloke jumps off the train, falls over flat on his face. Everyone just walks past him and leaves him there.
He's still knocking people out, just himself.
But I just thought
That's what he meant when he said I knock people out. He just meant himself, didn't he?
I just honestly, it blows my mind that he stood there and had the cheek to tell people he knocks people out for a living.
Oh, bless him. He's probably something wrong with him, though, isn't there?
He'd had a few beers, if I'm honest.
See, the thing is, we're thinking like really nasty things about him now, but really, we should be caring, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
We shouldn't be horrible to him. We should give that guy a hug.
He'd had a few beers, I think, to be honest with you. Like, you could smell the alcohol on his breath as he walked past. So he was I think he was just I think you're right, he was looking for some sort of attention. Whether it was good or bad, I don't know, but it was
Sometimes with people like that, though, because it's human nature, isn't it? The way you react to things. Because they reckon with road rage, isn't it? It's the first split second of reacting to something is if someone's going to challenge you or not. But it's the same. Like, I'll tell you a funny story. Like, it's based on that psychology, if you like. I might get in trouble for this, but it's not a bad thing. I went to Cardiff with my wife, my son, friends, their kids. In total, there was 8 of us, I think it was. And we'd been to see Disney on Ice.
Yep.
So we hadn't booked anywhere to eat. And they all went, "Oh, let's go somewhere really nice." And we thought, "Oh, we'll go to Miller Carter." And you'd never get a table. It's Christmas time, really busy. You ring them, no table. So I rang them and said, "Hi, Mr. Williams here. I'm just ringing about my table for 8. I've got booked at 8 o'clock. Running a little late, but we'll be there in 5 minutes." They were like, "Can't see you on the booking. Okay. Who did you book it with?" And I remember being there before, and there was like a really pretty ginger girl who worked on the sort of front of the house. So I said, "I think it was like a ginger girl on the front counter." And they went, "Oh, okay. So then we just turned up, and we were like, "It's the Williamses. We're here. There's 8 of us. Can we have a table?" And they were like, "Oh, have a drink." And we had a drink. 10 minutes later, table for 8. Happy days.
No.
But yeah, it works every time. I promise you. Anyone listen to this, I'm going to probably go to hell for that, but it works every time. Same thing, a friend of mine tried to get a table before and they would not give him a table. And his surname was Etherington. And he said, "I'll get a table now." Rang the restaurant, went, "Lord Etherington will be dining with you tonight at 8 o'clock. So if you can make a table free for 3 or 2 or 4 or whatever it may be." And they went, "Oh, yeah, okay," straight away. So basically, if you want a table, you just got to have more front than Brighton Beach and you'll get one.
That's quality. I'm going to have to start.
But the point of that is
it's
the same as everything, isn't it? I think, when you talk to people, there's like a split second to get a reaction, isn't there? And people gauge it and you can really, and it's the same when people say like, look, I'm not saying I'm a con man, that's not at all. Mine was done in light jest, but it's the confidence of it all, isn't it? I think when you say something, if someone believes you, and you can run with it, can't you? You could be really devious. I should have been like a mastermind criminal, but I just played Xbox in lockdown, so I probably won't go for
that. I just can't believe the cheek. Like that is unbelievable. Have you done it? Have you ever done anything else like that?
Well, I told you about the football thing in New York.
Yeah, so you got a bit of a history of it.
I just had a lot. I was a bit naughty when I was younger. I got in a lot of trouble. My dad's a West Walian, so if you live in Wales, like people from West Wales are generally a little bit stricter than people who live in South Wales. So I got my butt kicked a few times for being naughty. I probably deserved 99% of it. But yeah, got into some trouble. Not in a bad way. With me, it was all in humour. I never did anything nasty. I never did anything to hurt anyone.
No.
Mine was just in humour. I just like to have a laugh. I'm probably like a really immature person, and like even now with my like 11-year-old son who's 12 next week, I just like to have a bit of fun, and I think it's good to have a laugh with something. If you take things too seriously, it can become overburdening, can't it? And you just need to sometimes take a step back and have a laugh. People take themselves too seriously. Nothing really matters. Money doesn't matter. All that matters is you can't buy your health, and enjoy yourself. Friends are probably more important than money. I'm only saying this because I haven't got any.
What, friends or money?
Both.
Oh. I wouldn't be sitting here if I weren't your mate. So,
yeah, I know, mate. I know.
We obviously have a laugh together. No, it's quite interesting. I do find it amusing the way people act and the way people are, and just their people's sort of characters. There are some. My nan used to be a really amazing character. God rest her soul, but she was one of them ladies, them old ladies that you'd see her in the street and you think, oh bless her, she's a really really sweet old lady, and she's like say please and thank you and all that. There, you put her in at Mill Football Club, you sit her in her seat at Mill Football Club. All of a sudden, there's like this raging bull sitting beside you. And she's calling everybody every name under the sun, and you're like, "Where did this woman come from?" But
that's the cool thing with football. I think that's the one thing I love with Millwall. Is your slogan like "Nobody likes us" on the signs and stuff?
Yeah,
when you
no
get
one
there?
likes us.
That's so funny. That is like the best slogan for a football club. Don't fluff it. Just say how it is.
But she used to all the time. She'd have a few drinks, my nan. And she'd be hilarious. Like you'd invite her to a family party, and we'd have a family party, and we'd be sitting there, and she'd have a few martinis. It's usually like a martini and lemonade, or there was something else. There was another type of martini. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. It was like it was the one you would buy, the martini you would buy if you was a kid buying alcohol from the local cost cutter. And she used to love it. You'd sit there in the family and you go, oh, family photo, and straight away she'd sit there and you put your arm around my nan, and whoever would take the picture go smile, and all of a sudden you'd see a middle finger slowly come up, and she would stick her middle finger up, and every photo with my nan, 99% of the photos with my nan, middle finger was sticking up.
Oh, that's funny.
And but she was always the same. I remember going to Ibiza with her, and as a youngster, it was the first time that we went as a family, and I was probably about 15, 16, and we went to Ibiza. We went to the other side of Ibiza, not the party side. That would have been a bit crazy with my nan. And we went out for a meal one night, and then there was this pub we used to go to with her. And we went to this pub, and we had a few. Everyone had a few drinks, and obviously, being a kid about 15, 16, you're a little bit embarrassed when you're with your mum and dad to have a few beers and stuff. But you'd have a couple because you was on holiday, and your mum and dad would be like, "Go on, have a beer, like have a drink." And I remember my nan. We used to have to walk down the seafront back to the hotel we were staying in. She started going. She walked up to a lamppost and she slowly slumped onto this lamppost. As she slowly slumped onto this lamppost, she went, "Get off of me! Don't you touch me!" And I was like, we all looked at her. And my mum went, "What's up, mum?" And she went, "This lamppost is trying to grab me." She was absolutely, I thought she was going to kick off with a lamppost. Like she looked like she was that crazy. But she had that, but during the day, it's completely different side of her. It's a really sweet old lady that you wouldn't hurt a fly. She'd get a little bit of drink in her, or she'd go to
just enough for night time.
And then that was it. There would be like a switch. She would absolutely.
That's awesome though. That is, isn't it? Because it's character, isn't it? That's like, you'll never forget that. Really.
People used to love her. Like honestly, people at Millwall, they go, "Oh, here she is. Here's the old bag," and she'd go, oi, and she'd say, F you, whoever, like, and he'd go, come here, like, give us a cuddle, but that's like you say, you don't forget them sort of things. The character, the sort of front that they put on. She had this front that when she was with around other people, and it was all of a sudden a tough character that came out of her. It was funny. Used to make me laugh all the time. He's just crazy, absolute mad.
Have you you a bit of a drinker then?
I go through stages, if I'm honest with you, like good and bad. So I'll 1 minute I'll drink every night, and then I'll drink on the weekends, and I'll have a few 3, 4, 5 beers, and then I'll go, do you know what? I've got to get myself fit again, and then I'll go and I'll sort of stop drinking, and I won't drink for the night, and then I'll do it again, and I'll have a few beers, and like when we're recording this now, I'm having a little cheeky beer on the side while I'm drinking this, but then all of a sudden I'll go through like a real dry spell. I'm a typical binge drinker, if I'm honest. Like I go through spells of just going crazy, and then I have absolute nightmares with liquors and stuff like that. I said before, I live around.
What's the one you won't drink?
One of the worst ones is
What's your
Bacardi.
nemesis?
Bacardi is my worst.
You can't drink it, or you just don't like it?
I can't drink it. It just reminds.
Why?
It reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah, there's always one drink. Everyone's got that one drink, haven't they? For me, I can't touch cider.
Oh, it's awful.
Because cider was my youth club disco drink.
I'll tell you a story about where with Bacardi, and I think it was a 16th or 17th birthday party. Can't remember. And it was the days I used to work in Burger King, and we all got invited.
You worked in Burger King?
I worked in Burger King when I was a kid.
I got a question.
Go on.
Is there I heard a rumour with Burger King.
Go on.
That there's a secret menu for people who work there. You go like, I want a magic Whopper, and they give you something like, and instead of being like £5, it's £1.
Well, it's got to be careful. Someone might listen to this that works at Burger King. But if your mates come in, and what you used to do is to come in.
You get a letter off Burger King for this. You owe us £5.
So, my mum and dad used to come in when I worked there. So I worked in the big one, in a big shopping centre in Kent. That's what I'm saying. And people work out from there. And I used to, my family used to come in.
You say that like you fed the millions. What like Kent's a pretty big place, and you say like work that out from there. It's like, did you give like a burger away, or did you give like 5,000 burgers away? I don't get. You painted that pretty big.
What I used to do, I'll probably get a bill come through the post. They used to come in and they'd go, can I have a Whopper meal, please? And you go, yeah, no worries. And then you go on the till and you put it through as a hamburger.
Sacre bleu.
And then like what I'd say to them, my mum and dad is, you got to order like a hamburger meal, which is what was probably £3 at the time. I can't remember. And then then you would give them a Whopper meal instead.
The big £6.
The big £6 instead. Yeah.
I had something similar. I used to work in a BP petrol station, and I loved that job. Rubbish pay, but they had VHSs then. Yeah. And I used to get my car washed, rent a film, eat loads of chocolate for free, doss around with my mate. I was living the dream. Finish at 9 o'clock. You parked your car on the pavement opposite. So you're like, yeah, that's my car. That's my like 1.3 Mitsubishi Colt. I'm such a baller.
What is a Mitsubishi Colt?
It's this really unattractive car that was my first car that had 13-inch wheels. I don't think if you specified these days you could buy 13-inch wheels. And I had like my subwoofer in the boot and my fire trap coat, Alpine head unit, Dr. Dre CD, Prodigy cassette in the boot.
Oh, that reminds me of. What is that? Was that your first car?
Yeah, it was a Spanish windows, windy, manual. I had a Momo gear stick because it gave it that little bit more power. transparent windows, black tires. It was the business.
Well,
I'll tell you a funny story though. I shouldn't laugh about this because if my dad listens to this, he'll kill me. But I crashed it flat out into a wall. Really bad thing to do. Teetotaled it, and it was like icy. So I went home like with all cuts and bruises all over me. His airbag came out. Really bad experience. Then he goes, "How'd you crash the car?" I was like, "Dad, it's really icy." And he went, "Get in the car." We got in the car. And he's like shouting at me, whacking me around the head, shouting at me all the way to go and see it. We got to where the car was, all smashed up. And he goes, "You're an idiot, blah, blah, blah." Gets out the car, slips on the ice, doesn't he? And it was like one of those only fools and horses moment. And I tried so hard not to laugh, but I laughed and he whacked me again.
Was he all right, though?
Yeah, you sound.
Is he all right when he fell over? My first car was a Fiat Uno.
Do you remember the Fiat Uno turbos?
Yeah, well, I mimicked that mine was a Fiat Uno turbo, but it wasn't. It was a Fiat Uno 1 litre.
Everyone does that on their first one.
But I had a Fiat Uno 1 litre, and I remember it was black. And I did, like you said, I had the change the steering wheel, Momo steering wheel. I changed the gear stick knob. I did, rather than change the whole exhaust, I put like one of them can things on the back of the exhaust. Because I couldn't afford to change the exhaust. And then I had the subwoofer and the speakers and all that. And I remember I was out one night and I remember driving home after a night out. And it was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I parked up outside my mum and dad's house. Went indoors, went to bed. My dad woke me up the next morning and went, "Your car's been broken into." I was like, "What? Are you joking?" And he said, "No, your car's been broken into." So I went outside, and yeah, lo and behold, the car had been broken into. They'd cut the rear windscreen out of the back of the car and basically just ripped the rear shelf out, ripped the subwoofer out. There was, excuse me, I just went to just burped in my mouth while I was saying that. Apologies. if that come down the microphone, I do apologise. I tried to turn my head.
Damn San Miguel.
Yeah, and they'd ripped it all out. They'd ripped it out to the point that they'd left lumps of MDF on the back of the car. But it was really nice of them though, because they took the rear windscreen out really carefully and placed it on the grass on my house.
They were professionals.
So I just had to get someone to come around and fit the rear windscreen back into the car. It was just ridiculous. Like, that was one of the first experiences I'd had of someone robbing something off of me personally.
Yeah,
and it's the worst. It's the worst feeling.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it?
It's the worst feeling.
When they nick alloys as well, why do they put them up on bricks?
I don't know.
It's almost like, it's kind of courteous, isn't it, really? It's kind of like, I nicked your wheels, but I'm going to plop it up on these bricks so it's like
you can
accessible for you when you want to put some more ones on.
So you put your other wheels back on it. It's a very bizarre thing, but that sort of led away from what I was going to say originally, and I can't remember what I was going to say now. I was talking about Blue Water. I talked about Burger King, but I can't remember what I was going to say before that. We sort of went off on a bit of a dirt track away from the main road there.
I know. What if we never remember? What if that's gone forever? It will never be in an episode.
That could have gone. It doesn't matter anyway. It couldn't have been that important. What was the first ever job you did then? Say it was BP. Was that your first ever job?
I had a couple of like jobs that weren't proper jobs. I worked in a hotel, and there was a wedding, and I got asked to work behind the bar, but I was like 15, I think I was.
Yeah.
And I remember they had Foster's on tap. I know Foster's isn't the strong beer or anything, but I was 15, and I was behind this like bar, and then people were coming up, and they were going, "Oh, I'll have a beer, I'll have a beer, I'll have a beer." I was like, "Yeah, I might have one myself." So I just poured myself a beer, started drinking it. Got really pissed and got asked not to come back. My dad got me a job. My dad got me a job in a factory when they like press metal and they make beams for like factories and things.
Yeah.
And I remember it never happened today with health and safety, and I was on a forklift, and I think I was like 16 or something. I was loading these beams onto a lorry on a forklift.
Yeah.
I had no idea, and I crashed the forklift into the side of the building and didn't go back to that one either.
Did you ever do a paper round?
No, I never did a paper round.
No, so I used to do I did a paper round from the day.
I played Paper Boy.
Yeah, similar to that actually. Similar. That was where I got my experience from on my CV. I played Paperboy, the game on the Mega Drive. So I think I'm really qualified to do this job. It was what I was going to say is, did you ever with regards to paper round? Did you ever do a paper round? At Christmas time was a really good time to. Obviously, you used to get a lot of little tips from people. So you get paid £12 a week or whatever it was for doing your paper round. And over Christmas,
that's not bad back then.
Over Christmas, you would give out Christmas cards to all your customers, and you go round and you do your Christmas cards, and then as it got nearer to Christmas, cards would start to appear on people's front doors, or they'd open the door and go, "Here you go, like thank you very much for delivering our papers," and there'd be like a couple of pound in there or £5 or whatever it might be, and I remember going round and this and it was one of the last papers I used to deliver because it was on my road. So I used to sort of time it so it was right. Anyway, this woman, every morning she used to open a window to take the paper because she didn't like it being put through the letterbox. And it was for the old man. And she'd take the paper and she'd go in. Anyway, it was right near Christmas. And she said, I'm really sorry, I haven't got nothing to give you right now. And I said, that's fine, don't worry about it, here's your paper. Anyway, I think it was Boxing Day or the day after Boxing Day when we started delivering the papers again. And she opens a window and goes, "Here you go, Pete, thank you very much for doing the papers." And she gives me an envelope. And I was like, "Oh, thanks very much, I really appreciate it." Went home and the envelope was an A4 size envelope. Anyway, opens the envelope up. Turkey slices in it.
Turkey slices?
Turkey slices.
What did you say? Where's the gravy?
So I was like, my mum, I remember my mum going, "What the hell? Turkey slices and a few sweets, Christmas sweets in the envelope."
Random.
It was. I'll never forget it. No, gave it to the dog. Gave it to the family dog at the time. He appreciated it very much.
What's the worst thing you've ever eaten?
Worst thing. Well, I'm actually going to say the worst. I eat most things. The worst things I have ever eaten are shellfish. Doesn't agree
I
with
can't
me.
eat fish.
Doesn't agree with me.
I can eat fish. The only thing I can eat this fish is when it comes out of a cardboard box with a captain on the front of it. I can't eat fish. I can't stand the smell of it. I think I might have been a fish in a previous life. I cannot eat fish.
Yeah, it's not, I've never really eaten. I watch these programs on TV and watch them eating chicken feet and I don't know, like pig snouts and all that. And I think, I just couldn't imagine testicles.
Would you eat a bug? Would you eat like a bug?
I've eaten many flies while I've been cycling in the past.
I mean, like if for a laugh we ever did one of these and we had and we were doing it in the studio and we had like a load of funny stuff in front of us, would you eat a bug?
I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Depends how many San Miguel's you've had.
Yeah. I don't know. That's it's like watching the what's it? I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
I found something out? So I was talking to someone in the office today. Do you know a banana's not a banana's a berry?
No,
and a strawberry is not a berry.
Who's told you that?
Well, a reliable source, obviously, because I Googled it and it's true.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to Google it after this. That's unbelievable.
Google's. Have you ever just sat there and Googled?
I do. I used to quite a lot, yeah. My brother-in-law is one of them guys that would used to sit there and he will tell you all sorts of stuff off of Google or do you know what? I didn't even know at the time and he said my son come down to me and said, "Dad, do you know who Jeff Bezos is?" And I said, "No." "Who's Jeff Bezos?" "And he owns Amazon." I went, where'd you find that out from? And he went, just know these things. And I was like, you're 10 years old. How do you know Jeff Bezos is the owner of Amazon? He's the same, my boy. I don't really do it, mate. If I'm honest.
Does he play FIFA?
My boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets the rage. He gets the rage quite a lot.
So I was dropping Jensen off to school. This is like 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. That's gone quick. And we had like 20 minutes, half an hour. So he said, "Do you want to play flag game?" I'm like, "Flag game?" He said, "Yeah, flag game." I was like, "Okay." Downloaded it on his phone. Then all these flags come up, and he's reading off like ones I got no idea what these flags are. I'm like, "How on earth do you know this?" And he's like, "FIFA."
That's unreal. It's the kid. They're unreal, aren't they? Like the kids, they are
Subconscious programming. I said,
Yeah.
I said, "Get out of my car. That's dark magic."
I've just remembered what we was discussing before we went off on a tangent. You asked me what my drink was, my alcohol.
Oh, we done that, Bacardi.
Yeah, but we was telling a story, and then it just sort of went off piste. And it's just, it just come to my, you know, when something just light bulb moment, it just goes ding. Like, why do you not like Bacardi? Oh yeah, I know why I don't like it. I've just had that moment, but we don't have to talk about it. It's all right. Carry on.
You can't leave a cliffhanger like that. You have to say now. Don't tell me you turn into a werewolf.
So
please tell me you turn into a werewolf.
No. So I think that's what I was saying. So I think originally, so Bacardi is the drink I don't like. I was at a party. I was about 17 years old, and like anything, you take a few drinks with you, don't you? Courtesy when you're that sort of age. You don't turn up like you used to with a crate of beer and like a few bottles of Jack Daniels or whatever. Now, back in the day when I was that age, I couldn't afford that sort of stuff. I worked in Burger King, as I said. So you turn up, and I had a few beers, started like drinking other people's beers in the night, and it was a house party. And then someone said to me, why don't you drink Bacardi and Coke? So they give me a Bacardi and Coke, and I was drinking Bacardi and Coke. And you get that moment where you just, that's it. You're gonna be ill, very, very ill. And I was like, oh no, they're singing happy birthday to the person whose birthday it was. And I could feel it coming up. So I sort of legged it outside and started being ill in the garden, in their front garden, in the plant bed. I was only doing it next to their mum and dad. And I was like,
oh, no.
Oh, God. And got thrown out of the party for it.
Oh, dear.
But then woke up next morning and thought, never drinking Bacardi ever again. But that was after the car ride home. I remember the guy who drove me to the party, who also worked in Burger King, he drove me home, and he said I was hanging out the window like I was one of them really happy dogs.
I know the one. I did the same thing. I got a friend called Pip, and I remember years ago we bought this car. I think it was a 3 Series convertible or something, and he'd saved up for it. It was a nice car, and he was like, "Oh, I love it," blah blah blah. And we were out in town, and he said, "I'm going to go. You come in?" And I was like, "No, I'm having a wicked time." And I was drinking these things called Del Boys. They were like a cocktail, had like umbrellas in them, and I was having a whale of a time. And then I got in a right knot. I think the people I was with rang him to come get me, and then I was like hanging out the window like that nodding dog, and I chunned it all down the side of his new car. And luckily he's one of my best friends, and he was kind of like, "It's okay, I didn't really like it anyway."
That's nice of him.
Yeah, but I felt so guilty the next day.
What's the drunkest you've ever been?
Pretty bad. I've told you this before on another kind of thing we did, didn't I? And I might have pooed myself by a pool. That was a bit of a bad experience.
Yes, you did.
And then
I remember.
Yeah, that was bad.
You don't have to tell it again.
No, and I had an experience. Have you ever drunk a pint of spirits?
No, I've never drunk a pint of spirits, but I've drunk one of them. You get them mixers where you play games and everyone's drinking pouring their drinks in and stuff like that. It's just not good.
Well, we had like a thing, like every time someone turned 18, there was literally like top shelf pint of spirits. And when you drink it, your body can't take it. And you kind of, I think it's in you for like a minute and then you chuck it straight up and then it kicks in. And that's pretty bad.
I think
I wouldn't recommend that to anyone.
The moral to this stream is just don't drink alcohol, kids. I think that's the moral to this podcast.
Back then. Obviously, I don't know what it's like now, but it was really foolish. When we were younger, I remember like things like Hooch and Reef. I remember being in it was a club called Zanzibar. Yeah, it was a club called Zanzibar. I remember I was queuing up to buy some drinks, and used to buy like a couple at a time because you didn't want to queue again because it took so long. And I bought like 4 bottles of Reef, and then I went onto the dance floor, like wiggling my arms around like I'm having a good time. And then I went to sip one, but I had 2 in each hand. So when I went to sip it, the other one went right down the front of my shirt. And I was like, oh, bollocks.
I got a story about when he was in a nightclub, me, Key, and a few of our friends, and similar to what you just said then, you used to go and buy more drinks. We used to go out on a Friday night to a club called Icon in Bas Vegas, in Basildon.
Vegas?
In Bas Vegas, yeah.
And, in Basildon?
In Basildon, yeah.
That's where... that's like quite notorious, and that's the Essex boys.
Bas Vegas is quite a known place. You talk to a lot of people, they go, "Oh yeah, Bas Vegas." Anyway, we was out in our Icon Diva, it was called at the time. It's not there no more. I think they've shut it down. And we used to do exactly what you just said there. Go and buy a couple of drinks, but what we used to do was buy like 10 Smirnoff Ice at a time. They used to do a deal, so it'd be like 10 Smirnoff Ice for 30 quid or 20 quid or something like that. So we'd all used to go up to the bar and go, "Can I have 10 Smirnoff Ice or 10 WKD Blue or whatever?" And we'd be
WKD,
and we'd be in the same place, or was it VK? VK was the other one.
Yeah,
there was like a knockoff of it, wasn't there? Like a VK Blue and VK Ice, and we used to put them all on the table, and this one, and we used to be in the same place every week. It was like the regulars. We was always there, and this table would always be full of Smirnoff Ice, VK Blue, and all of that stuff, WKD Blue, whatever. This one week, it was our friend's girlfriend's birthday, and she told me it was her birthday, and she got some package where they were giving us bottles of sparkling wine, but it looked like it was champagne, but it wasn't. And we used to do the 10 drinks plus the bottle of sparkling wine, and we'd do it all the time. Obviously, the more and more the night went on, we was getting drunker and drunker. And the sparkling wine, no one really was drinking it, so we started to use it as if we had won the Grand Prix every week, and we started to squirt it into the air. But I got this bottle. I was absolutely out of my face drunk, and I said, "It's my turn." I took the bottle out of this girl's hand, and I started shaking the bottle up. And as I started shaking it, I forgot to hold the cork, and the cork shot out.
Oh, no.
It hit the girl who was his birthday straight in the forehead.
Oh, no.
she went flying. She went flying backwards. Everyone just looked at me in complete shock. And I was like, what? And everyone's going to me, "You're an idiot. You've just shot." Well, I can't remember her name. His head in the... Like, so saying the forehead, "What'd you do that for?" I'm like,
"Oh no, what happened?"
Oh, no one. Everyone had a moan. Everyone like binned me off for the rest of the night. Key
sounds like a moment in there.
Key was laughing. Key and my best mate were laughing their heads off, and there's me getting shouted at by all these other people.
You must have picked the nickname up from that.
I didn't actually. I didn't actually. But I always get reminded of it every time we see everybody. I get reminded of it all the time when I shot this girl in the face with a cork. It's just a silly story.
That's the title of the podcast. When I shot this girl in the face with a cork.
That's going to give people ideas, isn't it?
We don't recommend it.
It's not good.
That's probably quite dangerous, though, isn't it? Really, you should go and stand in the corner and think about what you've done.
It could have took her eye out. Do you know how much pressure goes behind them corks sometimes? Imagine if it gave her a black eye or something like that.
Oh, there's a whole bottle of Lambrini for starters.
Yeah. How dare you? How dare you? But yeah, that's we used to do that all the time. That was our thing. And you know what? Going back to what you said about things being different, like I look at my lad now, and he's sitting upstairs now, and he doesn't really go out. Like when we was younger, we would be out all the time, wouldn't we? And we'd be doing stuff, and he doesn't go out, so he doesn't have that experience of going out, going down the park, having a laugh with your mates, like having a drink, drinking, all the naughty drinking.
Because you get mugged these days, that's why.
Well, there is that as well. Yeah. I mean, there is that as well. But yeah, but then you think about it. People used to get mugged back in the days when we was younger.
Do you know the difference of when you know you're old though? Because you go to exactly what you said. So when you're like in your 20s, you go to the bar, you're like 10 bottles of Smirnoff Ice, oosh. And then when you're 40, you go in there and you go, pint of Carlin and a pack of peanuts.
And I'm going to go sit down in the corner over there.
You can gauge how many beers you've had by how many packs of peanuts you've had. Have you ever played the game how many you can drink before you break the seal?
No. I think I've got to say I don't. I know the game you're talking about, but I've never played it.
Me neither.
It's
I think I got to 5 pints, but there was earthquakes happening at that point. It was the danger zone.
Do you know that reminds me of when I worked in Holland, and the probably the only time I ever went out in Holland, and I left the pub I was in, and I was walking home, and the walk home was about 25 minutes on a good push, and I left the pub walking home, and I was busting for a wee halfway home. Well, do you know when you're that desperate that it then turns into you then busting to go to the toilet and do a number 2 as well? It is that bad. It's hurting your stomach that much.
Well, you know I'm a trendsetter in that department.
And I remember getting home. I remember getting to the front door of my flat, and literally I was taking my trousers off as I was trying to get through the door, trying to struggle with it, and then sitting down on the toilet, and the relief going, oh my God, that was amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's unbelievable.
It's a feeling like I've made it.
Yeah, it's the feeling I've made
just
it.
The relief.
It is unbelievable.
That's that embarrassment moment saved.
But anyway, I think we should wrap it up now, Lou. I think we should start ending these podcasts on like a funny story or a funny note. We need to have a think about it in the future. I don't think we should do it now, but I think in the future we should wrap them up on a funny little story, and it'll be quite amusing. So I want to say thank you for listening to this podcast. It's been a pleasure as always. We've told you some quite embarrassing stories this week.
And we found a name for the episode.
And yeah, we found a name for an episode. And then what we'll do is we'll chat GBT the intro.
Standard. Standard.
I'm joking. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. I'm Peter Main.
And I'm Lewis Williams.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, guys.